Sunday on TVS, Nigel Havers is the charmer with Fiona Fullerton, Rosemary Leach and Bernard Hepton. A major new drama series starting Sunday at 9, The Charmer.
Hello. Never expected to find the listening bank at 30,000 feet.
We move in mysterious ways.
I wanted to ask you something.
Yes.
It's about time I got into the stock market. But frankly, I'm nervous about it.
Frankly, so am I.
You? But you're supposed to be an expert.
Well, I am an expert, in the sense that I know where to find the answer.
Oh, yes.
Which is why I have our specialist fund managers look after my personal investment of Midland Unit Trusts.
Unit trusts?
All you have to do is to decide whether to go for capital growth or income. They do the rest.
So they could do this for me?
They could indeed.
Aren't you rather passing the buck with these specialists of yours?
I prefer to call it expert delegation.
Well, you would, wouldn't you?
Midland Unit Trusts. From the Listening Bank.
Maltesers, light, crispy magic caught in a chocolate bubble.
What a feeling! Dreams believe it. I can have it all now. I'm dancing for my life. What a feeling! What a feeling! What a feeling!
Maltesers, the light fantastic.
Making a real impression has never been easier, because there's one name behind some of the most exciting home fashion ideas you've ever seen. A name that can give you a totally coordinated look in home furnishings, wall coverings, ceramics, and so much more.
Very nice.
Why, thank you.
You probably know the name already. Men Only, from Colour Roll, of course. Do better than beef. British beef.
There used to be this problem with money. Either you controlled it, or it controlled you, until cash-base. Electric money. Cash in your hand, day or night. Bills paid at the touch of a button. Always up to date. Always in control. And the cost of plugging into Cashbase? Well, the fact is, they pay you. Anything's possible with the Woolwich.
In half an hour, we have more coverage of Super Bowl from Manchester. That's after the news. This is TVS, now the latest national and international news from ITN.
The city high flyer charged with stealing £6 million. The detained Tamils say they'll be killed if they go home. An Iranian rocket kills 29 children in Baghdad. The white farmers who still face a terrorist threat in Zimbabwe. And a rough time for getting as England lose to Pakistan. Good evening. Mr. Gerald Bronson, the head of Britain's second largest private company, the Heron Group, has been charged with the theft of more than £6 million in connection with the Guinness scandal. He'll face 8 charges, including false accounting, when he appears before Bow Street magistrates tomorrow. Another key figure in the controversial Guinness takeover of distillers, the former Guinness chairman, Mr. Ernest Saunders, appeared in court again today. He faces 37 charges, including theft, false accounting, and offences under the Companies Act. Outside the court, Mr. Saunders said, "I deny every single one."
Gerald Ronson walked into the fraud squad headquarters at Holborn voluntarily this morning, his subsequent arrest making him the 4th man to be detained in the wake of the Guinness share scandal. The property tycoon, who back in January had admitted buying Guinness shares for a £5 million fee, but said he hadn't focused on the legal implications, was questioned for 6 hours by Scotland Yard officers. He was released into the custody of his solicitor after being charged with false accounting, the theft of more than £6 million, and conspiring to create a false market in Guinness shares. Tonight at Mr. Ronson's Hampstead home, staff said he hadn't returned. One told ITN via the intercom that he felt hurt for the accused man. Earlier, the former Guinness chairman, Ernest Saunders, was at Bow Street to face new charges, flanked by his 2 elder children, James and Joe, and looking at ease despite his ordeal. He said the hearing had forced him to postpone plans to visit his wife, who was extremely ill in Switzerland. In court, Mr. Saunders sat impassively while the prosecution outlined the 37 new charges, including 10 of theft, 10 of false accounting, and 2 of manipulating the market in securities. Mr. Saunders' counsel successfully appealed for Mr. Saunders to be allowed the use of his passport to visit his sick wife in Switzerland at short notice, and he argued that the accusations of theft were not alleging theft in the ordinary sense of the word. Afterwards, the accused man passionately protested his innocence.
I vigorously deny all those charges that have been made against me. And the mere idea of charges that involve the word stealing, i.e. in the vernacular putting my hand in the till and taking out any of Guinness's money, is absolutely appalling personally and absolutely untrue. I have stolen nothing. I have nothing.
He was bailed to appear again on November the 3rd. Michael Green, ITN, Bow Street.
Gerald Ronson's Heron Group of companies is privately owned, 60% controlled by a charitable trust, the rest by Ronson himself. The group reported profits of £50 million on a £1 billion turnover this year. Vernon Mann reports.
Gerald Ronson is 48, married with 4 children. He left school at 15 to join his father's furniture business. In 1956, he moved into property. By 1962, he was a millionaire. He founded Heron in 1965 and a year later introduced self-service petrol pumps, his first big money spinner. Heron is now one of the biggest private companies in Britain, with interests in America and Europe in property, banking, building and petrol stations, the original venture, and motor dealerships at home. Colleagues say Ronson has always been a workaholic. There's said to be a sign on his desk which says, "Press on, nothing in the world can take the place of persistence."
He's a very tough and very, very able businessman. He's used to getting his own way in everything he does.
He's a big, tough-looking chap, 6 feet tall. He's got a very hands-on management style, and I think he's always has very much the eye to a financial bargain wherever it's available, and his business is framed that way.
He and Heron failed in half a dozen takeover manoeuvres, but he always came out with a profit. He's quoted as saying, "I'm not motivated by money, I'll give it all away in my lifetime." You have a responsibility to do something for those not so fortunate. He gave a lot to charity and a lot of time to the NSPCC. Here he is with Princess Margaret and the Duke of Westminster at a Berkeley Square ball. He met Mrs. Thatcher at Downing Street receptions. Tonight, his friend Sir Philip Harris of Allied